And how are you, sir?
I'm doing outstanding.
What are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to start off with visions and dreams. You know, we're told that God speaks to his people in visions and dreams. Are we still having visions? Are we still having dreams? What are your thoughts?
Yes, that's it. Actually, the thing is that it's like I've had revelations, but I don't really want to talk about them because I'm in the process of uncovering what they're really saying. In other words, to get the essence of it. And because it's such a boom when you get it, you know, and you get so much information. And I guess it gives me time to do it because it takes quite a while for me to kind of go through everything that I've heard and actually get the essence of it. And so I don't really talk about the dreams too often, or the revelations, because I haven't actually felt them enough to know what I would be saying if I was telling about it. So some of them, there are those that I'm working on right now, feeling after, so to speak, that my brain is overloaded, it seems like at times. You know what I mean?
I do. So just out of curiosity, with the brain overload, do you think sometimes the mind's way, the subconscious mind of releasing that overload, that it manifests that overload in those dreams?
It never seems to be quite the same. Just suddenly there. There's no explanation for it. It's just there. You just absorb it, and then you think about it, you contemplate it, you meditate upon it, and it reveals itself to you. But that's quite a process, and it does take quite a discipline to be still that long to actually get the essence of what was being said. Because this is the limit of contraction. Where we're at right now, this is the limit of contraction. And from here, you expand and expand and expand, and you are doing so in some degree of competency. You're doing so. You can speed up the process if you'll focus on the main parts, like, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think about that, what I'm thinking about is my life, my future, tomorrow, the next day, and on and on and on. Because it isn't falling into the past, as we spoke about it all the time. It's not falling into the past. It's being projected into our future. So if it's not something you like when you're thinking about it, you ain't going to like it even more when you're experiencing it. So the idea is to watch what it is you're allowing yourself to entertain as thought.
I actually have a question as far as the revelations that you get, not so much about the individual revelation, but when you get your revelations, do you find that these come normally through your quiet time, or do they come when you're sleeping? And if they come when you're sleeping, do you note them? Do you take a journal? Do you have a notepad? Do you have something in means of capturing that vision, that dream?
Yes, I have a tape recorder right next to the bed.
Wonderful.
Always. And it's always loaded up and ready to go.
Gotcha.
And about the revelation, you know, the thing of it is that when you get it, it's such a surprise that you're like, wow. And it's the essence of it is so humbling that I can't really explain what happens to you, but you can just feel the whole body kind of vibrates a little. And you know it wakes you up in the dream, and then you wake up. In the dreams, always you doing. And that's imagination, and that's God himself. And he's with you always, will never leave you, omnipresence. And I have to ask you, what more do you need to know to actually feel after him and find him with you always.
You're right about the dreams. Neville talked about a particular dream that he had, and to be honest with you, when I heard him talk about it, and he said, everybody will have this dream, and I kind of wrote it off, because I knew what I had experienced in the past. I didn't give much thought to the dream, but one night I had the dream that he had been talking about. To be honest with you, I actually wrote it off, didn't think that I would have the dream, so it really surprised me, and the dream came in two parts. And when the dream came, I was more amazed because I never believed that I was going to have that particular vision. And when it manifested itself, it just left me baffled. So I do understand that when you say that sometimes what you do is you sit there and you think about, you watch the dream being manifested, so do these dreams also for you, do they also come as daydreams?
Actually, they come at any time.
Gotcha.
I'm not expecting anything, and it happened. The lady that I talked to the other night, she went on and on and on, and I asked her a question: "Are you alive?" Hesitated a moment, like she wasn't really sure, so she said yes. Then God is with you. You claim to be alive. We're told that you receive not because you ask not, or that you're asking amiss. And that asking amiss is very, very important for you to really get into, because that's what you're doing most of the time. You're not really paying attention to what it is you're allowing yourself to entertain as thought. And you are entertaining yourself with thoughts. Are they lovely and of good report? And if not, why not? Why not? They're your future. I mean, if you want to think on the bad things of life, okay. But remember, all things produce after their own time. So if you're not really wanting to be involved in something, then don't sit and contemplate it. Don't sit and think about it, because it is not falling into the past. It is your future. You're making it right now. You think so, Carlo?
I do, and that's a hard thing for people to understand, because we get so caught up on appearance. And when I say appearance, I'm speaking of the five senses, the outside world. And so people may call you, they may message me, they may reach out to me, and they may say, Mr. DeCarlo, blank, 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 blank. What should I do? I give them, of course, what we talk about. You got to be mindful of what it is that you're giving your attention to. And one young man was frustrated because he's trying to let people know in his community, as it were, that if you keep giving your attention to these things, that's what you're going to keep manifested. And they keep pushing back against him because they can't receive it. And I told him, don't be frustrated. They're not where you are. They don't have the information that you have. So what it is that you're saying to them is foreign. Would you agree?
Sure. That's like, I remember one time in particular when I was discussing something about Scripture, and I gave chapter and verse, and it was like a glaze seemed to come over the people. So I quit that. I found that it somehow they're opposed to hearing that. You know what I mean? They've heard it over and over and over.
I agree.
When they hear the chapter and verse, they don't hear what comes after it. Because I've questioned them 5 minutes afterwards, and they don't know what I was talking about. You have to kind of talk on a certain level, because if you go over that, then I wouldn't understand it. So that's the reason why I don't go over with the big words and all that and talk about theology. And now Neville explained everything to you. Neville Goddard's book, they explain all of that mystery of the ancients. But what I've done is I've just given you my take on what I got from him, plus what I got from exercising as he told me to do. Test it first person. If you say you believe it, test it. And if you test it, you will believe it. That's all there is to it. You say you believe it, test it. Test me now herewith and see if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing you don't even have room to receive it all. That sounds like a great promise to me, doesn't it to you?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. You know, and that's what I was telling someone recently. Test. Don't go off of what we say. Don't even go off of what you hear other teachers say. Test it for yourself. And like Neville, I tend to give Scripture, and the reason that I give Scripture is because I want them to have a point of reference. But you're right. Somebody reached out to me recently, and they said, I thought Neville said God was within. I said, He is within. I said, everything that I share with you is about God within. But you're right. When they hear Scriptures, when they hear you talk about Bible, Jesus, God, they turn off. They equate that with all the religion that they grew up with and everything that they've been taught up until this point. And what they don't realize is that what we're not talking about is secular history. I'm pointing them to the person of Christ within them. But like I said, when I give Scripture in verse, it makes them think about Bible, Sunday school, whatever it is that they grew up with. It makes them think about that, so I agree with you.
Yeah, it does. It's hard to hold their attention because I know myself, it took me years to understand the simplest idea when I always was claiming, well, I know that. I heard it. I knew about it, but I didn't know it. And that's the difference that makes a difference. You're thinking from it rather than of it. You think that's the way it is?
It's absolutely the way that it is. And I think that as we're talking about visions and dreams, I think that people need to be more mindful. And I used to write off a lot of stuff that came to me, especially like daydreams. I would have these flashes, and I would just write it off. Then I came to realize that Spirit was trying to speak to me through the daytime. And so I started taking note, So I agree with you. There's so much that God within wants to communicate to us, but we have to be open. We have to get quiet. We have to, as you say often, shut your mouth.
Yeah, watch your mouth.
Watch your mouth. It's not easy, to just shut up and listen.
No, people tell me they've been going to church for 30, 40 years, and it really doesn't seem to help their life. But it's not supposed to. It's only information. And you have to put the information in the works. It's always up to you. They tell you what is actually happening, and then you have to see if you can match that happening, because it's all within you already. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to join anything or nothing. It's just right with you now, here, this moment. This is the appointed hour. Do a thing, and you shall have the power. And you're operating the power, not a power, not a little power, the power. So watch what you're thinking, because it's, like I said, it's not falling into the past. It's being projected into your future. And if it's what you want for your future, fine. Expand, expand, expand. But that's what we're here to do. We're here to expand, expand, expand. This is the limit of contraction here. It doesn't get any further down the line. From here, it expands and expands. But all you have to do is just be open. You just listen. Be still and know that I am God. That seems like a real invitation. Well, why would you not take it? I mean, really.